Hey, tomorrow together.
The Ford Motorrad 400 in Limpopo early in September could let the sun set on a couple of championship challenges in the production vehicle category in this year's ABSA Off-Road Championship. 3 wins in a row, 2 of them with regular co-driver Ralph Pitchford, have seen Duncan Foss in the factory Nissan Navara take a healthy lead in the overall and super production class drivers championship. Pitchford, who missed the Toyota 1000 desert race, does not enjoy the same comfort zone in the co-driver standings, but all crews will be well aware that they have to drop one result at the end of the season. This puts pressure on teams, and even Foss, who has a 100% finish record this season, will be aware of the need for reliability over the remaining 3 events. Some tight battles have developed throughout the classes, and for those crews with 1 or 2 non-finishers already on the scorecard, the pressure is even greater. Nissan Navara crews with reigning champions Hannes Grobler and Francois Jordan picking up 2 wins have thus won all 5 events so far this season, with backup from African Heritage cross-country winners Ivar Tollefson and Quinn Evans in a 3rd factory Navara, and Mark Corbett and Rudy Balzar in the Century Property Development Navara. The Nissan Challenge is a rather formidable one. Twice, however, Foss has been the recipient of some very good fortune, with Castrol Toyota Hilux pair Mark Gronier and Chris Birkin crashing when within sight of victory. Such charity may not come their way again this season, or ever for that matter. Gronier and Birkin managed to crash only a K from the finish on the recent Amatole 500, but will have taken heart from the fact that they dominated for 499 kilometers. There is no doubt that both Gronier and Birkin and teammates Bevan Berthold with Robin Houghton have the potential to end the current Nissan domination. The latter have had a dreadful season, and their luck has also got to change at some stage. They do a good run, and this event could be the turning point for them. Hichu and Jaap de Bruin in the Micron Excel Toyota Hilux took a good 3rd on the Amatole 500, while the Chris Visser Jaapie Badenhorst Dio in a 3rd Castrol Toyota Hilux have performed as consistently as ever since joining the SP Class Brigade. With a win long overdue, there will be plenty of confidence in the Toyota Cup. The Ford squad will also fancy their chances in a race they co-sponsor with Motorrad. Former national champions Neil Woolridge and Kenny Scholthammer have loads of experience, and a varied and technical route will be to their liking. Brandon Harkis in the 2nd factory Ford Ranger has quickly settled down after the switch from special vehicles, and he and Jean Moore have the potential to weld into a formidable combination. The experienced Manfred Schroeder and Ward Huxtable in the Barlow World Absolute Ford Ranger also have the potential to win races and could upstage the factory entries. The Ford Challenge is also bolstered by Kobus van Tonder and Rian Guapa in the Unifreight Ranger. Despite Nissan's winning streak, the SP class is now ultra-competitive, and as Gronier and Birkin have proved, a single mistake can be fatal. Expect a terrific scrap to emerge in Limpopo, and don't be surprised to see a Toyota or a Ford in the winner's circle. The Class D battle could also be fascinating, and is made more interesting by a tight championship issue. Harold and Tian Kun in their Land Rover still lead the driver-co-driver standings, but are under intense pressure. Newcomers Dalmas's Ramon Besaidnout and Stefan Locke have suddenly emerged as championship challengers, and will be full of confidence after a good African Heritage cross-country Amatole 500 showing. Henry and Maurice Matten in the Rhobi Nissan hardbody have won 2 races in a row to suddenly be only 9 points adrift of the Kuns, and the Rhobi boys use consistency as their major weapon. Also still very much in the championship picture are the likes of Yuri and Andre Duplessis in the BB Auto Nissan hardbody, and Arnold Duplessis with Johan Knox in a 2nd BB Auto hardbody. Kutsia Labaskachny and Johan Gerber in the Raysonics Nissan hardbody also come into the equation, and the scene is set for an interesting tussle with the Zermattens on a roll and looking menacing. Some tight championship issues have emerged in Class E, and here too the pressure is mounting. Jack Peckham in the Ford Racing Ranger leads the Drivers' Championship by 10 points from Yanni Visser in the Team Barberspun Toyota Hilux, but he has a 100% record and still has to drop a score. Visser's co-driver, Yorks Leroux, leads the co-driver's title chase by 10 points from Lucio Santoro, who sits alongside Peckham. Santoro missed out on points when he fell ill on the Amatole 500, and Peckham was forced to finish the race on his own. A crash saw George and Sharon Barkhuizen's Roacon Toyota Hilux also miss out on points, and they too dropped down the pecking order. Suspension problems also sidelined Brian Martin and Oki Fourie in the Castor Toyota Hilux, and like the Barkhuizens, they will need to bounce back. Mark and Stuart Moffat in the Bosel Toyota, Yaku Swanepoel and Graham Bishop's IDM Cement Toyota Hilux, and Fabio Tafani with Nav Alan Deerling in the Club Refrigeration Toyota Hilux add weight to the Toyota Challenge. Joining Ford in tackling the Toyota hordes are Thomas Rundle with Brian Roberts in their Baden Tyre Services Nissan Hardbody, who've shown encouraging form of late. The battle up front in the SP class is going to be a feature of the Ford Motorrad 400, and if they manage a 6th win on the trot, Nissan will have done it the hard way. Talking Nissan, one of their stalwarts is Francois Jordan, national champion and co-driver for the exacting Hannes Grobler. We asked him how it all started.
In all probability, when I was 2 years old and my dad used to take me along to Roy Esketh, and Jimmy Redmond's bike ran over my foot. And I think that's where it all started. After that, my dad was a great rally enthusiast and racing follower, and we spent nights in the plantations looking at Hetema and the works in those days. And I think it just started all there.
And what about the first success? When, where, and how?
Yeah, you know, I like to tell people my very first rally I did in Swaziland in 1978. It was the Peak Rally, and I won this trophy, and that's where it all started. I think my first trophy was just about as important as the very important one later on, when in 2004, when I did the Dakar with Janil, and we came 7th. So these two trophies, I think, are equally important to me.
No problems at all.
And which disciplines of the sport really grabbed the man, and why?
The forms of motorsport that I started in was rallying. I started off driving a car. I think everybody wants to be a driver. I started off driving a car, and then I had a very bad road accident. I broke my arm and I was out of it for a couple of years. And then I came back and I lost my sponsors, of course, and I nearly lost my wife because of all the money we took on the bonds to rally. And then I really decided I want to drive fast, and I started navigating. I started navigating, and I was fortunate enough to navigate to get a drive with Roelof Vecken in 1989 in the Toyota Works team. And there the ball started rolling. After that, I spent some wonderful years with Roelof. We drove the 16-valve Toyotas in those days, which was a fantastic rally car. And after that, I rallied with my good friend Leon Botha. If you can remember the red Pizza Hut Golf, we had some wonderful accidents as well. Leon taught me to be brave. And that was really a highlight in my life. It's a good friend of mine. We had wonderful times. I've never raced on the track. I would have loved to race on the track, and I really never drove motorbikes fast on the track or anywhere else. So in 2000, Enzo Keen came to me and he asked me if I would like to navigate on the off-road series. He got a drive in a Mitsubishi. And then the off-road series started again. And after that, yeah, I said, thank you, I've got my T-shirt. This is a bit rough for me. And then the call from Lynn Hall at Nissan came, and he asked if I would like to go with Janil in the T-truck. And I said, well, I'm a bit far, and I've got the T-shirt, but I would like to drive in the truck. And they're still battling to get me out of it. It's 7 years since with Nissan at the moment, and I really enjoy that. So the three disciplines I've been involved in was the rally, navigating, the driving, and now sitting in the hot seat in the Nissan.
And what does it take to navigate well, and also what does it take from your steering man to listen properly?
You can navigate as well and as fast and as good as you want to. If you were the driver that can't listen properly, adapt properly, and drive the car properly, you can't win. There's no difference between top drivers. Janil when I started out with him, was not used to getting instructions from a driver, from a navigator. I mean, he was used on a racing car, and it took some adaptation on both of our sides. I wasn't used to a guy that didn't listen, and he wasn't used to a guy that gave him instructions. So we went on a total rally, which was a pace note event, and after that it really became a wonderful time with Janil. We adapted well to each other. Hannes is an old fox. You don't have to tell Hannes anything. If you should say to him T-junction left, he doesn't even worry what the T-junction is. He knows exactly what it is. I mean, Hannes has been in the sport for 30 years and he had numerous navigators. So it's a real pleasure going with Hannes as well. But driving, there's no difference between top drivers. They're all very good and it's a pleasure to be with them.
Nissan have been dominant for a lot of seasons now and are on a winning streak and are right now on a winning note. What makes them so good?
It's a wonderful team to be in. Glenn has got such a wonderful way of building cars and building teams that I'm sure anybody envies me that's not in that team. We've also got a very good relationship in the team. The guys that prepares our cars, they will work out their hearts out for us. Of course, it's very sad about Heine that passed away the other day. He was a good friend of us and we all miss him. But there's other guys that stepped into his shoes and it's really a good support team. What more can I say that you're in the best car and the best team? It's a wonderful position. I mean, I'm a very lucky guy.
Does a navigator get to choose who he wants to ride with?
Well, you know, a navigator is always in the position that he cannot dictate. He gets fortunate enough to be asked by a good driver to join him. And hopefully Hannes makes up his mind to take me again with him next year. I'm sure Hannes won't retire for the next couple of years. And then Mark Corbett has asked me to go on Dakar with him this coming year in 2008. It's also a wonderful opportunity and I'm very fortunate that I can step in there. Glenn and his team is going to do the backup, so all the friends will be together in the desert.
Francois Jordan is certainly one of a kind.
Vehicle and asset finance from ABSA, going off the beaten track to find solutions.
In the beginning of the 15th century, Europe set out to conquer the world. Now, years later, the world returns to conquer Europe and beyond. The European PGA Tour, the old world reconquered. Live and exclusive to Supersport. The Johnny Walker Championship. Brought to you by Telcom Business.
Behind the thrill, behind the speed, there's a new dimension where the edge is touched, where time defines you, where science meets obsession. It's more than the cars, more than the drivers, more than the girls. It's the millisecond, the pace, the power, the passion that drives us forward. It's in the race, the ride, in the rush, in the cold, calculated strategy. It's art in motion. It's victory and defeat, triumph and tragedy. It's the F1 dimension. Get every angle. Absolute F1. Exclusive to Supersport.
You need a lot to survive in the fast lane. Here you need a lot more.
Here, it's a bumpy ride to the championship title. A title that its holder is trying to protect by whatever means necessary. McLaren will be hoping that this storm clears up fast, or it won't be champagne that's falling on their parade. A parade that's still keeping its nose just in front of Ferrari, who must now draw on overwhelming home support to fuel a decisive move. Formula One. The ultimate fast lane bends into Italy. All the adrenaline on your World of Champions. Proudly sponsored by Tiger Wheel and Tire.
Don't see that very often.
Vehicle and asset finance from ABSA, going off the beaten track to find solutions.
5 events and 5 different winners is ample proof of the competitive nature of the special vehicle category in the ABSA Off-Road Championship, and nothing is likely to change on the Ford Motorrad 400 in Limpopo. The race is round 6 of the ABSA series, and for competitors still harbouring championship hopes, every point scored on the final 3 events of the season is going to be precious. With one result to be dropped at the end of the season, title challengers will be working out a few calculations, and for some, a non-finish on any of the remaining events could be the end of the road. overall and Class A standings, the father and son team of Nick and Ryan Harper in the Big Atlas Copco Bat have a comfortable lead over Shamir Variawa and Siegfried Rousseau in their Total Motorsport quarter, as well as the chasing pack. But only 10 points separate the next 5 drivers and 4 navigators in the standings, and no one would bet against a 6th crew joining the band of winners. Motorrad Bat crews Evan Hutchison and Akim Bergman and reigning champions Alfie Cox with Henny ter Steege have both tasted victory this season, along with Karl Heinz and Quinton Sulwalt in the Sulwalt Transport Zarco, as well as veterans Nandis Alberts and Colin Hunter in their Rapsa Bat, who won the Amatole 500. This season's winners will again be among the front runners, but you only need to look at the quality of crews who have not won to figure out that a 6th winner in 6 events is very much a reality. Former champ Variawa and Rousseau spring to mind, as does Gary Bertelt, who's had a dreadful season so far with new co-driver Jeff Minnett in their Atlas Copco Bat. Colin Matthews and Alan Smith's Century Racing Bat look like potential winners. Naim Mosaji and Rayon Badiana in a Total Jimco have improved in leaps and bounds, and Clint Gibson in the Absolute Bat is also knocking on the door. You can also not remove from the equation the likes of another former champion, Terence Marsh and Peter Groenewald in the Regent Racing Bat, Herman Sulwalt and Mornay Moller in a Sulwalt Transport Zarco, and Cully Sulwalt and Paul Helberg in their Sulwalt Transport Zarco. Crews will relish a typically bushveld route, and it would take a very brave man to pick a winner this time round. Hendrik and Jan Krein, the 2nd Regent Racing Bat, lead Class B by a country mile. But now that their 4-event winning streak has been broken via a crash on the Amatole 500, other crews will be snapping at their heels. Bez Besaidnout and his nav, Johan de Bruin, in the 1st Adenko Bat will be back with Johan and Etienne Besaidnout in a 2nd Adenko Bat, also in with a shout. The danger men, however, are likely to be KwaZulu-Natal pair Marcus Taylor and Derek Keith in the JRE, who finally confirmed their potential by winning the Amatole 500. Gil Null and co-Sandra Labuskaghni and the Luke ATE Truggy will keep the other crews honest and will be keen to bounce back after a race to forget last time out. The Cries will carry the popular money, but could find themselves under some serious scrutiny. Class S was given a shake-up on the Amatole 500, with Glenn Gibson and Mark Whitehouse in the Absolute Ace-Co scoring a maiden win. That will have boosted their confidence, but championship leaders Richard Schilling and co-Chris Davies in the Plastotech Ace-Co, despite patchy recent form, look like a good bet in Limpopo. Nick Gosler and Richard Carolyn in the Kopanang Hotel Super Team Raceco also come into the reckoning. A good 3-way scrap is on the cards, but the Schilling-Davies combo will be heavily favoured. For Gil Null and Sandra Labuskaghni and the Luke ATE Truggy, round 6 is all important. For Wim Gil, Sandra has made a big difference, and her age has certainly helped a lot.
A huge difference. I think she's very, very sharp, and with the GPS that came in, she reads everything. You know, these youngsters, they're up to scratch with all the new technology and stuff, and she's really brilliant, and I think she's made a big difference to the navigation side, and she's helping me a lot as well, and we're getting along very, very fine.
Have you taught her how to change wheels yet?
She can do it quite quickly with me. She doesn't like flat wheels, so she wants to get out of it as quick as possible.
And what about Sandra?
It's really interesting. I thought it would be a bit more scary than it was, but I think with an experienced driver like Uncle Gil, who I'm navigating for, he makes you feel so relaxed about being inside the car. We work together great as a team. I mean, he drove a single-seater for quite a while, so it makes navigating a pleasure. And I've had a bit of help from Robin Houghton and from my dad, who drives a car himself, so they've been coaching me and making it so much more easy for me, like a rookie, to get into the car and just like be relaxed.
Former SA champions Foss and Pitchford are thus on track to win the production vehicle category in this year's ABSA Off-Road Championship. Foss in the factory Nissan Navara scored his 3rd win on the trot in the Eastern Cape to open up a huge 37-point lead in the Drivers' Overall Championship. Voss has reeled off successive wins on the Sun City 400, the Toyota 1000 Desert Race in Botswana, and the Amatole 500 to move well clear of teammate and reigning champion Hannes Grobler. The East London result took Pitchford, who missed the Toyota Desert Race because of overseas commitments, into a 12-point lead over teammate Francois Jordan in the Co-Drivers' Championship. Third in the Drivers' and Co-Drivers' Champs are Cronje and Birken, who threw away wins in Botswana and the Eastern Cape by crashing within a K of the finish while in the lead in both cases. There is a logjam in fourth place with Ford Racing Ranger crews of Hankes and Moore and Woolridge and Scholthammer tied with overseas pair Ivar Tollefson and Quinn Evans in a third factory Nissan Navara. They trail Cronje and Birken by just 3 points and are 1 point clear of Mark Corbett and Rudy Balzar in the Century Property Development Nissan Navara. As is the case in the special vehicle category, anomalies in the allotment of points for overall and class finishes sees a slightly different picture in the Premier Super Production class. Voss and Pitchford still lead, but Hankes and Moore, with a 100% finish record, leapfrog Grobler and Jordan, with Toyota's Cronje and Birken in fourth. They in turn have a 2-point lead over Corbett and Balzar, with Tollefson and Evans a further point in arrears. Only 9 points separate Hankes and Moore from Tollefson and Evans. Class D leaders Harold and Tian Kun in that Landy had a sorry time of it on the Amatole 500. For all that, they still lead Class D, but with a much reduced majority. The Kuns are actually only 3 points ahead of Ramon Besaidnout and Stefan Locke in the Toyota Hilux, with veteran Coetzee Labuschagne tied with Besaidnout in the Drivers' Championship. Next up are Yuri and Andre Duplessis and brothers Henry and Maurice Matten in the Ryobi Nissan Hardbody. Only 8 points separate the Kuns and the Zamatten brothers. After a dodgy start to the season, the Zamattens have reeled off 2 wins in a row and are now distinct threats in a close-fought championship. The demise on the Amatole 500 of Roacon Toyota Hilux pair the Barkhuizens and Castrol Toyota Hilux crew Brian Martin and Oki Fourie has eased the logjam in Class E. Jack Peckham has a perfect finish record this season and is now 10 points clear of Jannie Visser in the Team Barberspon Toyota Hilux for the Drivers' Championship. But Lucio Santoro, who sits alongside Peckham, succumbed to a bout of severe car sickness on the 500 and Peckham finished the event on his own. That put Yorks LaRue shares the Team Barberspon entry with Visser at the top of the Co-Drivers' Championship. The Barkhuizens now find themselves third in the driver and co-driver standings. Driver George is 11 points behind Visser and trails Peckham by 21 points. The picture is a little rosier for wife Sharon, who's only 1 point behind Santoro and 11 points behind LaRue. Martin and Fourie slipped to fourth on the log, with Thomas Rundle and Brian Roberts fifth in the Baden Tyre Services Nissan Hardbody. As is the case in the Special Vehicle Championship, competitors in the production vehicle classes also have to drop one result at the end of the season. This puts pressure on crews with 1 or 2 non-finishers already to their names. A solid second place on the recent Amatole 500 in the Eastern Cape has seen the father and son team of Nick and Ryan Harper tighten their hold on the special vehicle title chase on the ABSA Off-Road Championship. The Harpers and the Atlas Copper Bat have also been helped by the up and down form from other leading teams. The Harpers have opened up a 24-point lead at the top of the championship, with some tight battles going on right behind them. They are comfortably ahead of former champ Shamir Varayawa and Siegfried Rousseau in the Total Motorsport Porter. Varayawa and Rousseau are under pressure from some heavyweights in another former champ, Hutchison and Bergman, Amatole 500 winners Nardis Alberts and Colin Hunter in the Rapsa Bat, and reigning champions Alfie Cox and Hinita Steger in the second Motorride Bat, with a consistent Clint Gibson and his absolute bat in the top 5 in the Drivers' Championship. Varayawa and Rousseau have a slender 1-point lead over Hutchison and Bergman, with Alberts and Hunter another 7 points in arrears. Gibson and Cox and Ter Steger, who have been hit by 2 non-finishers in a row, are another 2 points behind. Because of variations in the allotment of points in the overall and class championships, the situation differs in the Class A standings. Here the Harpers are 16 points clear of Hutchison and Bergman and the Varayawa-Rousseau duo, who are tied for second place. Gibson is third in the Drivers' Champs, 5 points behind Hutchison and Varayawa, with Herman Silwold fourth and former champ Terence Marsh and Alberts tied for fifth. Just 8 points separate the crews from second through to fifth. Among the co-drivers, Bergman and Rousseau are tied for second, with Hunter third. Peter Groenewald, who partners Marsh, is fourth, with Gary White, who shares the Rubicon back with brother David, in fifth. Another father and son team, Hendrik and Jan Kraai, lost their unbeaten record this season on the Amatole 500, but still have a healthy lead in Class B. The Regent Racing Bat crew are a whopping 37 points ahead of Johan and Etienne Besaidnout in the Adenko Bat, who have performed consistently all season long. A win in the Eastern Cape has lifted KwaZulu-Natal crew Marcus Taylor, former SA champion, and Derek Keith into third place. They are just 2 points ahead of multiple SA champ Gil Nel and Sandra Labuskaghni, with Bez Besaidnout and Johan de Bruin a further point in arrears. Schilling and Davies with Gosler and Carolyn are the frontrunners in Class S, but both failed to see out the distance on the Amatole 500. That gave Gibson and Whitehouse in the absolute ace-go a maiden victory, but defending champion Schilling and Davies still have a very handy lead. With only 3 events left to run this season, crews at the sharp end of the championships will be well aware that having to drop one result at the end of the season could drastically alter some championship battles. Crews with a 100% finish record so far have the advantage, but there will be pressure on those who have already had one or more non-finishes to their names. In a special vehicle battle, the gloves will be off. However, if the Harpers get to the finish line in one piece, as their want has been this season, the race could be run. They lead by 24 points, and that's almost one whole win. Variawa and Rousseau need to keep the Motorite lads at bay, and there's a lot more where that came from. The event headquarters will be at the Moropa Casino and Entertainment World in Polokwane, where documentation and scrutineering will take place on the morning of September the 7th. Later on in the day, a 50k prologue will be run to determine start positions for the Ford Motorite 400. Supersport will be there, so should you be. Until then, you keep it on the road, we'll keep it off-road.